Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Allison if you are new here, and today I am sharing what it's like to be a military wife. So a couple videos back I asked you guys to leave me some questions in the comments about anything you wanted to know about the military wife lifestyle that I live. No questions were off limits. Anything you guys wanted to know, you guys would leave in the comments, and you guys left some good questions. So I have on my phone a list of questions that you guys asked me. I split this up into 3 different sections. So being a new wife, living on base, which is living off base, and then what it's like being married in the military. So this video is more than just a Q&A. I think it kind of is going to deep dive into what it's like to be a military wife and like almost every single aspect of our life and how it's affected by the military. So enough rambling. I'm gonna drink some tea. Bucky is going to do something downstairs. What is he doing? He has a football. If you hear him chewing in the background, oh, he heard me. He is coming in now. He wants to be part of this. How do you feel about being a military dog? Do you feel like your life is any different that you live on a military base now? Yes. Thank you for your insight and all of your wisdom and knowledge. Okay, before I start answering questions, I want to just put out there I'm not an expert. I've been a military wife for about a year, just over a year. My husband is Christian. He is in the Marine Corps. We are stationed at Camp Pendleton. We live in on-base housing currently. We've been married since last September, so just over a year now. And now getting into these questions. The first group of questions is all about becoming a new military wife. So if you think your boyfriend is about to propose, or you're a fiance to a military member, or you're just curious about what to expect if you're a new military wife, here are some of the questions under that category. First, what is DEERS? All I know is that it's a system you get plugged into, and that's how you get eligible for getting your insurance and all of your benefits and all of that, and being linked to the service member that you are. Another part of that question was how long does it take to go through the DEERS process? For me, once I sat down at a desk and started talking to somebody, basically you give them your birth certificate, your social security number, your marriage certificate, and they type that information into the system. They take your picture and they print you an ID. That whole process took about 20 minutes for me, and I had an appointment, so I walked straight in, sat down, 20 minutes later, had my ID, was in the system, good to go on DEERS. The next question, benefits. So I don't know the answer to all of this. I don't understand all the benefits. I barely know my benefits. I know that we are under TRICARE as our health insurance. There's 2 options where you can have like the basic doctors, or you can pay extra monthly and have out of like network doctors. I think we just do like the very basic, like whatever's the cheapest option is what I have. The military for spouses only offers your health insurance, so if you have dental or vision, that's on you to pay extra. I actually just tried to make a dentist appointment yesterday and realized that we have the like lowest tier dental insurance picked out, so we need to pick it up a little bit. So I actually am gonna have fun calling TRICARE and figuring out how to change my dental insurance. But other benefits, your spouse gets paid a little bit more, like very little bit more. So from my understanding, there are 3 parts to my husband's salary. There's his basic pay, his BAS, which is basic allowance for sustenance, I think. So basically paying for his food and stuff, and then BAH, basic allowance for housing. And that's how much we get paid each month to pay for our housing. So we are in on-base housing. I'll get into this later, but they basically take our entire BAH paycheck. But that BAH amount that they initially give us is larger because we are married. There's not a lot more money in it for being married. Basically, you just get housing. The next question was about job hunting and any tips I had for looking for jobs while you're moving around a lot. So this is something I struggled with a lot. I actually have a degree in finance. I had a fancy finance job that I quit back in my hometown. Like I had my dream job basically, and I quit it to be able to live with my husband and to be with Christian, because obviously my relationships and my marriage is more important than my work and my career. And honestly, I haven't looked back since then. That was like the best decision that I didn't know that I needed to make, and choosing to be with my husband was the greatest thing for our marriage. So I actually completely gave up my career, and since then I've turned YouTube into an income. So this is the only job that I do, the only work that I do. It's something that I can pick up and carry and move with us wherever we need to move, and I get to stay home all day. So Christian has 2-hour lunch breaks. I see him at lunch every day. But I understand that's not what everybody's dream goal would be, is to have like be a stay-at-home wife, a stay-at-home mom, a stay-at-home YouTuber, whatever you want to call it. I like to joke that I am a stay-at-home dog mom. But if you are looking for a more career-oriented path, like you want to go to a 9-to-5 job and work normal hours and have your life outside of the military, or like outside of being a military wife, the only experience that I have seen it working out with very, very well is people who are like nurses, dental hygienists, bank tellers, careers where that job exists in every city across the country. The job that I previously had does not exist in every city across the country. It's in major cities, but the chances that we'd be near major cities are so far and few between, and we move so frequently that it was hard for me to maintain that career. But like for nurses, there's hospitals absolutely everywhere. I wish I had more advice about how to make any career work anywhere, but that's just not the way that my life has turned out, so I just don't have experience with that or good advice for that beyond being a dental hygienist or a nurse or so on and so forth. The last question under the new wife section is, what are some do's and don'ts of being a military wife? Do, be flexible and independent. Your husband's schedule is going to be wild and crazy and unpredictable. He's gonna work long hours and then he's gonna have a week or two off. Like, it's gonna be completely up in the air, changing every single day, changing every minute. Like, we had a hard time like even planning date nights, because we'd say like, oh, he should get off around maybe 6 or 7 tonight. Let's go to dinner at 8. And then he wouldn't get off until 10. Being flexible and independent and not relying on your husband to be everything in your world is very, very important as a military wife. Next, be mindful that you're also a reflection of your husband. If you are living on a military base, or you're going on base to visit him, or driving with him, or shopping on base, you are a reflection of your husband, so make sure you're not wearing your PJs. And I feel like in society, it's also like that. Like normal people, civilians walking around, like their husbands and wives are reflections of each other. But in the military, I feel like it's just another level, a little bit higher up. It's a little bit more important to note that. And in the same breath, be respectful to everyone you encounter. The same idea that you're a reflection of your husband. You should not be rude to other people. Just be a good person, basically. On base, military police are no joke. I don't know this from experience. Thankfully, we have not gotten any tickets from military police, but from what I've heard, they are way more strict and way more present. Like, there are more military police on the bases than you'd expect, so always drive carefully. And then I would also say find friends outside of the military base. That was the biggest mistake that I made at our last military base. I didn't have friends outside of the military world, so my friends were military wives. Like, at the church I went to, it was all military wives. My husband would have his friends over. Everything in my life was like military focused, and I went a little bit crazy. So that's another do. Look for friends outside of the base. Now, those were all my do's. Here are my don'ts. Don't, this one sounds terrible, I'm sorry. Don't take this the wrong way. I'm just trying to help you guys from what I've seen and what I've heard my husband and his friends, and like just my experience of what are like big no-nos. So don't think too highly of yourself. You are not a military personnel. You are a civilian. You are not your husband's rank, like none of that. You are a civilian. You are a plain Jane walking the streets. You have not gone through training, unless you have, then don't take this the wrong way. But as a military wife, you're a civilian. You are nothing more. So don't think too highly of yourself on the military base, thinking people should salute you or anything. Like, no. Also, don't let your personality become being a military wife. I don't know how to say to not do this, and I feel like I'm kind of contradicting myself because my YouTube channel is a lot of military-based content. I'd like to think that my personality is not just being Christian's military wife, but I would advise you guys to try very hard to have things going on outside of your life that are not just about the military and your husband's career. Be your own person. Don't just live in your husband's shadow. Another don't go around base in your pajamas or any part of your husband's uniform, including those really comfy sweatshirts they have. I have a pair of Christian sweatshirts and sweatpants. I love his little, like the green like pullover sweaters or whatever. I wear them at home and at home only. I don't walk my dog in them. I don't walk around town in them. I don't do grocery shopping in them. Just don't wear his uniform. It's kind of weird. It's kind of taboo. You're almost presenting yourself as a military personnel by wearing the military uniform when you're still a civilian. So just don't wear their uniform ever outside of your house. And then same with like the PJs, you're a reflection of your husband. Don't wear your pajamas to the commissary. You never know who like you guys might see while you're out there. This last one, I am just going to say it. Don't post videos of yourself crying. Don't make those really cringy TikToks. If any of you have seen the He's a Marine TikTok, just don't be cringy. Please don't be cringy or post photos of yourself crying because you miss your military boyfriend. Just please don't. Now moving on to the next section of questions, on-base housing versus off-base housing. So we have been living in an on-base house at Camp Pendleton for a month and a half now, almost 2 months. And previously we were at Quantico, Virginia, and we were in an off-base apartment for a full year there. So that's kind of my experience with both of these. So first questions were about dogs. In our personal housing complex, you can have 2 dogs or cats, or like you can have 2 animals maximum for your space. I think for all military bases, they don't allow lockjaw breeds, so they don't allow pit bulls, Rottweilers, any wolf combinations, or there's one more. It might be Dobermans. No. I think Dobermans are allowed. Pit bulls and Rottweilers are like the main like dogs you can't have, which I dislike. And there's somebody down my street who has a pit bull, so I have major questions for how they manage to do that because I would love a pit bull. But that's the whole thing for dogs. Also, when you bring a dog on base, you have to register it at the animal shelter on base and pay a small licensing fee. I think it was $20 to have our German Shepherd license on base for 3 years. Next questions. Civilians visiting, limit on the number of people who can come on base with you. So I'm pretty sure, at least for Camp Pendleton, if you have your military ID, so Christian or me, you can fill up our car, we can fill up a car behind us and then the car behind us. So we can have 3 cars, I think, worth of people come through, and then however many people fit in those cars, that's who we can like get through onto base. They'll check their driver's license as they pull through, but they're allowed on base. I'm sure there's weird rules about people spending the night on base or whatever, but we've had family visit and spend the night and no one ever asks questions. You're not in college, you're not like an RA knocking on your door to see how many people are living there, so I'm sure there are rules on this, but it doesn't really matter, I don't think. The next question is, how is it on base? Going back to that paycheck that I talked about, the 3 parts to it, if we talk about the basic housing allowance, the BAH, that's how much money you're paid for your housing or whatever. That amount changes based on where you're stationed. So if you're stationed at Cherry Point, North Carolina, your BAH is like less than half of what it is here in San Diego, California. The housing expenses are way higher in San Diego than they are out in like North Carolina or other places. So it's based off of that. And it's also based off of your rank, your number of children, your dependents, all of that factors into what your BAH is. You can Google a BAH calculator, and then you can put in the zip code of what duty station you're at, how many kids you have, what their rank is, the years of service they have, and find out how much the BAH is for each city. So when we were in Virginia, we were able to get an apartment for a lot less than our BAH amount was. So we were pocketing like $500 a month. Now in California, for the amount we're given for BAH, to find a comparable apartment, we would be paying our entire BAH amount. We wouldn't be saving any money. So we decided to look for on-base housing, and on on-base housing, they take your full BAH. So Christian's gonna get a raise in his BAH in like a year or something when he gets promoted. We're not gonna be moving houses, but they will still take that bump in BAH. You will never have leftover BAH if you're living in on-base housing, really. We wanted a yard, we wanted a garage, and we wanted to have some privacy and some security because Christian's MOS has him out a lot and gonna be in the field a lot. So I wanted to be somewhere that I felt safe and secure if he's gone for like a month and a half or something, or whenever he gets deployed for 6 months or something. I wanted to feel safe where I was living. So all of that combined is why we chose to live on base. And it's also nice because Christian gets a 2-hour lunch, so he's able to actually go to work, come home, have lunch, and chill out for 2 hours, and then go back to work. And it's also a very short drive for him. However, we were playing with the BAH calculator one night, and we realized that once he gets his next promotion and has like another year of service under his belt, we get a big jump in that BAH amount, and it really opens up the door to having an off-base house because we have a lot more money to spend, so we could be pocketing more money. So if we're thinking if we can find a place with a yard, a garage that's safe, so if we can find that under our new BAH amount, we will be living there. So basically, our decisions on housing is purely financial. We don't live on base just because we love the house and we love the area. So that is everything on housing. I am flying through these questions and glossing over a lot. If there's anything you want to know more about, leave a comment down below and I'll be responding to every comment you guys leave. Last section of questions. We can push through this. Married in the military. So this section of questions is all about like our relationship and like being a military wife and how that changes our marriage. Let's start with an easy one. First question, does GCM, those are his initials. Does Christian plan on making military his career? He does not, but also never say never. As of right now, we think we're gonna be peacing out of the military once he finishes his current contract. He wants to go to a different school after this and do a different career path, but joining the military was important to him. And that's all that I really feel comfortable sharing about his future plans because he's not one to be putting everything out on the internet. So no, he doesn't plan on it being his career, but never say never. Next question, how do we manage being apart so much? So far we've had tons of time together in California and it's been great, and it looks like Christian won't be in the field a ton until like next year, like 6 months, 7 months from now. So we have a good amount of time right now that we are together and we are enjoying it. We are relishing it. We are having date nights. We are watching TV shows together. We're doing activities. We are taking advantage of this block of time right now that we have together. And this time has made it so much sweeter because we know that there are times that we are going to be apart in the future. So that's like my first like positive spin on how to manage being apart is when you are together, make the most of it, enjoy it, relish in each other's company, and like really embrace it because you know in the future this won't always be how it is. So we actually just spent 3 months apart. Christian was doing a school at a different base in California, and I feel like we're just kind of used to it. Like you honestly just fall into the rhythm of it and get into the groove of being apart. And yes, it's hard and there are nights that you're lonely and sad, but as long as you are busy working on yourself, like going back to one of like the beginning of the video where I said one of the do's is to like be your own person, be independent of your husband. If your whole personality is wrapped up in being a military wife or being your husband's wife, and that's all that there is to you, when you're in the military and he's gone, and trust me, he'll be gone a lot, that means your whole world is gone. So it's really important, I think, to have your own things going on. And you can still have your own things going on if you're a stay-at-home mom or if you're a stay-at-home wife. You don't have to have a career be that thing that you focus on, but you need to find something that's more than your husband because he is going to be gone. That's just inevitable in the military. Very, very few people, I feel like, have their husband home very regularly all the time and don't have nights by themselves. So I feel like being your own person is really important. And I guess my best advice for getting through those tough nights apart is to know that you're going to be sad sometimes. Anticipate it and expect it, and be flexible with yourself. Like, be flexible with his schedule always changing, and then with yourself. You might get just like slapped in the face by like being sad one night. And honestly, I kind of give into that. If I'm having like an okay day and then 6 o'clock hits and Christian's not going to be home for the next week and I'm sad about it, I let myself cry. I eat some Ben & Jerry's, I watch a sad rom-com, and I let myself be sad that night. But I always tell myself tomorrow has to be better. Tomorrow I'm gonna do something that I didn't do today. I'm gonna work out. I'm gonna go get groceries. I'm gonna bake something. I'm gonna call a friend. I'm gonna make plans. Make something happen tomorrow so you can't get sad again, and tell yourself, like, I'm sad tonight, but I'm not gonna be sad tomorrow. That's the easiest way for me to get through it, because it lets yourself feel the emotions of being lonely and sad, but it also tells yourself this isn't how I have to be, and then you have something to go and do about it after. Also, I don't want to get preachy, but being a Christian has helped our marriage significantly and helped me through all of the tough times alone and all of the tough times of not knowing what's happening with our life. We didn't know where we were moving for a lot of time. We didn't know what Christian's schedule would look like, what his career would be. We had a lot of things that were up in the air. I didn't know what I would be doing with my days until I found YouTube and relying on Christ and Jesus and knowing that he has everything planned out for me and I don't have to worry about that is the biggest like pressure being lifted off my shoulders. But I don't want to get too preachy, so I'm gonna just move on. But that is all of the questions I had on that one video. I'm sure I'm missing some, or there's tons of things that I glossed over way too much, so if you, like I said, if you have questions, leave them down below. Also, if you have found my channel through this one video or a previous video about what to expect as a military wife, I highly recommend watching my vlogs. The vlogs are more than just like day in the life fun things that I do. Well, they are kind of that. But I like the vlogs because they show what my daily life looks like as a military wife. It shows my husband leaving for work at 4 in the morning, or it shows him being gone for a month and a half at a time and what I'm doing with all of that time. So I feel like if you're really curious about what an actual lifestyle or what your life would look like as a military wife in the future would be, the vlogs are going to be the answer to your questions. I also talk about our budget, how much money we have to spend, how we grocery shop, recipes, like a bunch of things are in the vlogs. And I'm gonna say bye to you guys because I'm tired of talking and it's getting hot in here. This sweater, it's getting a little bit too toasty. It was cold when I started filming this, but since I've been sitting down and talking for so long, oh my gosh, I'm struggling so hard. I'm starting to get a little bit hot, and I had to close the door on Bucky because he was chewing way too loudly on his football. So I'm gonna go play with him for a little bit. So I hope you guys found this video helpful. Make sure you give it a like and subscribe for more of this kind of content from me. Christmas videos are happening soon too, so if you're in the mood for some Christmas spirit and some holly jolly joy, which I think all of us can use this year, make sure you're sticking around for those videos too. But until next time, bye!